So today I attended an interview, the first interview for the position of an engineering manager with a mid-sized company. Company is Polyplastic. They make plastic rolls, plastic bags, everything plastic, plastic covers. They do recycling of plastic as well. So we were seeking for an engineering manager, and I applied because it's a company that is very 4 miles away from my home, and I'm looking to step on to the new next career, next step of my career. So I'm looking to move into the next step of my career. So since I left the food manufacturing factory, I've worked in Jaguar. I started my own company, my own maintenance company, and things was I had some few jobs. Well, I've gone back to permanent job with permanent role with Royal Mail. But the job is I'm quite disappointed with what I have to do there because it's not challenging at all, and I'm kind of very technically. I like to do it's. I'm not feeling challenged, and I'm feeling like it's a waste of my time. So I'm looking to step into the engineering management position. So here, this video is to tell you about what to expect in an interview like that. So I went and I met this man. The man that interviewed me was a operational manager. He said he has had about 30 something years of experience as a manager. That he's worked for many important companies, and he was one that interviewed me today. And he first of all started by asking me to talk him through my CV and tell him about my experience from my study, from the time I left school to my present day. So I told him how I started studying engineering in 2004, and how I started working as an engineer as a maintenance engineer in 2009. And I also explained to him how I migrated to England, how I worked in the laundry, how I migrated to England, and how I studied again maintenance and mechanical engineering, design and fabrication. I explained how I worked and how I worked to this present day. So he wanted to know about my last job I've had. Well, I told him that maintenance engineering insider was my company, my own company, which I formed, and he wanted to know what I did in Essential Protein Solution. In Essential Protein Solution, I explained about the project that I've done, the electrical panel project. So he wanted to know how I went about to do this electrical panel project, which I did. I explained it to him, and I explained to him that, well, before we got to that stage, after I've explained all that I've done to him, all the work that I've done, he said that I do not have any management experience, and he was about to end the interview at that moment because I did not have any management interview up till now. And then I told him, well, I have a management interview. I have a management experience as I told you I had a management experience managing a branch of a church in Spain. In Spain, and he wanted to know what I did in the church. So I told him that I was like the head, and I had accountant, I had my counselors, and I had to work with all of them. We all had to work together, and we had to. And it was a charity organization. We were doing this charity. We were not being paid. So So after I explained these things, after I've explained these things, yeah, he said that to manage a company, to be an engineering manager, and to be a church bishop is not the same. It's not going to be the same. The challenges will be different, which I quite understood. So I opened up because before then I've reviewed the lean technique. So I tried to because he was ready to end our interview then. So I told him about a little bit about the lean technique. I told him how we have to review the process and the manufacturing process, that we have to identify what the customer need, and then this is going to be one step, the first step that we're going to take to improve our process, and then we're going to identify all the flow. We're going to map out the flow of the material from raw material to the finished material, and we're going to remove all the waste, try to eliminate waste, and then so that we can be able to become more efficient. So once we're able to do this, we're going to try to make this a standard, automate it so that we can make our product with minimum waste. Make this to be automated so that we can be able to make more, and then we're going to find a way to give it to the customers, so that when we're making them, we're sending them away to the customer, so that we don't have to incur a lot of costs through inventory. And when I started talking like this, it looked like his countenance changed, and it looked like we were speaking the same language, So he picked interest again, and then talked about the engineering department, how we're going to apply the Six Sigmas of manufacturing in the engineering department to streamline the machines, make sure the machines are working well, keeping them clean, tidy, improvement, and PPMs. And then he told me that they do not have any PPMs in place. He wanted to know how he asked me, how are you going to implement the PPMs? How are you going to implement the PPMs? We do not have any PPMs in place. I said, well, first of all, we're going to have to identify each asset, and we're going to map out what needs to be done on each asset. We're going to map out if it's a daily checks that needs to be done, daily improvement that needs to be done, or weekly improvement, or monthly improvement, or 3 monthly or annual improvement that needs to be done in each of the assets, each of the machines. And then we're gonna have to do that. We're gonna have to make a list of what it is, and then he wanted to know, how am I gonna get the workers to work? How am I gonna get the other engineers to do the job, to do the PPM? Because up to now the engineers don't want to do the PPM. They're not used to doing the PPMs. Well, my response was that I'm going to prepare the PPMs, make sure it's available to them, and I'm going to request for feedback, because I expect people to come to work and be able to do a series of things that that's been assigned to them, because that's why they are paid. And he was like, I've tried to establish this kind of culture here, and it has not worked. What are you going to do different? I said, well, I'm going to lead from the front. I'm going to be on the shop floor. I'm going to make sure things are done. And I'm going to request feedbacks from them. And then he wanted to know also, I said that some people has been there for like 10 years, and they know the machine in and out. They know how the company functions. And I'm new to if I'm going to be new in the company and I'm going to be their boss, how am I going to relate to them? How am I going to get them to work? How am I going to relate to them? Well, my response was that we all have a role. We all have a role to play. The basic principles of the machines are the same. So we all have a role to play, and everybody has to play their own role. And that's what I expect everybody to do.